Hey there, YouTubes. This is Grimweird coming back at you with more MC Eternal Mod Pack playthrough action for Minecraft 1.12.2. So when we left last time, we had started over in a new world because our last world was not biomes of plenty, and it sort of got all glitchy when I went crazy making RF Tools dimensions, and Fish's Undead Rising didn't seem to spawn quite right in a default world type, which bogged me down in being unable to get through the introduction quests. So on the whole, it was just sort of a pain in the ass, and I decided, hey, why not just start a new world, because that's fun. So we wandered around a bit and found this place, and it looked like a great place to settle down. Turns out, not so much. But let's go take a look at what we did. First off, it's in a desert oil field biome, which I wasn't really familiar with, but my one concern well, actually, I had two concerns. Filch lizards stealing my stuff. There haven't been too many of them spawning around here, so that's been sort of nice. And I killed the one I did see. They haven't come back. And then death worms, which are sort of annoying when you're in a desert biome. And those turned out to be seriously annoying. So let's go talk about that a bit. So I've made a lot of progress as advertised. I'm now a lot more familiar with what's going on in this mod pack, so I have made a lot of progress. When we came in here, this was all set up. All I had to do was add water to those spots in the middle, and there was wheat planted here. I harvested the wheat multiple times, made up a bunch of bales of hay, and then it turned out that there was a village just right over the hill here to the east. And somewhere in here there was, right about here maybe, I don't know, somewhere in this area, there was a large sort of Burning Man type effigy made out of wood fence, scaffolding, and hay bales. And so there was a farmer in there that gave an emerald for every 21 grain, and I got a lot of grain, or I mean a lot of emeralds. So I went ahead and made myself two of the top end dank nulls. So one of them has a bunch of the stuff you would get when you were mining. So I have renamed it mine. And this is just the junk I pick up when I'm running around breaking blocks. And then I also made another one called build. And build has a lot of just building material stuff in it, like bricks of various types and whatnot. Part of the reasons I did that is because I didn't want to get too comfortable here, because it quickly became apparent that this place was not the godsend that I had hoped. And this is the answer right here. So when I first got here, this floor down here that is now stone bricks was sandstone. And I thought, okay, it's sandstone, there's dirt around here, deathworms should, stop at the walls, right? Not so much. They came right up under there, right up under the sandstone, and killed me when I wasn't looking. I was just standing around, playing around with my chests and my stuff, and boom, I'm dead. So I thought, okay, they must be able to go through sandstone. That makes a certain amount of sense, etc. So I replaced all the sandstone down here with stone bricks and went about my business thinking things were solved. The death worm had disappeared after it basically one-shotted me. And then, shortly thereafter, I was doing something and boom, two-shotted by a death worm. So then I was pissed off. So finally, I turned up my volume so that I could actually hear him coming a bit. And I also put a couple of layers of cobblestone down here, and this finally sort of deterred them. I was enough out of their reach that if they did come around, they couldn't get to me if I was up here. And I also learned what they look like. And I also now had my sound up. So one thing is they are marked as animals, sort of like the squid. So, and they move around, and when one comes over, it starts doing this. It starts doing this like almost like a figure eight or a back and forth underneath my thing. Now I've got a bow good enough that I can just kill them. So this is all moot. The other problem was, as soon as I got here and settled in, I did a few things to sort of make things safe. I knew the defenses were sort of porous here. So I did a few things like I put an illuminator, a cave illuminator up here, and a peace candle up here. I bought this from for 150 from the quest coins in the quest store. And I thought, okay, that's good. That'll be okay. Well, it turns out, right after I was sort of getting settled, I started hearing dragon roaring. So it's like, oh great, here we go again. So my cave illuminator shows that just 3 things above me, there's a big dragon lair here. And he was pissed off at me, and he's close enough to the surface that I would occasionally get the weakened buff from being near his roar. And so I was like, oh great, I got to get out of here. But then if we take a further look, seemed like every direction I went there were more dragons. So there's a dragon roost here. So I went north and there was a dragon farting around up there. I went south and there was a dragon out here running around. There's another dragon over here somewhere. This is a nuclear wasteland, as I learned when my radiation badge started saying, you just took 25 millirads of radiation. You just took 50 millirads of radiation. You just took 75 millirads. So I was like, whoa, 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 and backed out of there real quick. So this is just not the place to be. So I thought, okay, I didn't want to get comfortable here. So basically what I did was I just took my show on the road. So the first thing I did was I concentrated on making a nice big backpack. So I just sort of ran around and killed all the horses and, and cows and deer I found, grabbed a bunch of leather, and quickly made myself, hello, nice hat, and quickly made myself a big backpack. And then also I traded in a bunch of stuff and made myself a couple of these actually made 2 of these and then 1 blue one, which doesn't have a lot of stuff in it, but I used it to collect building materials for just basically nether stuff and astral sorcery marble. So the fact that I didn't have what I felt like a comfortable home wasn't too bad. And so I took my show on the road, and I didn't get this spire done, but basically I took out a lot of those spires. So if we take a look over here, I mined to the ground, raised to the ground, maybe 5 or 6 of these scattered around, mostly the gray area, or the green areas over there. I didn't want to spend a lot of time on the sand because of the death worms when I had, crappy armor and no good weapons. But these have lots of iron and lots of coal, and then a smattering of redstone, and usually like 1 or 2 gold or lapis up near the top. So I took out a whole bunch of those and just sort of wandered around the map doing that. And I also went through any dimensional door that I found and picked up any diamonds or there's a dragon up there. Any diamonds or iron or gold that I found there. And then I found a astral sorcery temple and grabbed one of these with a sack of holding and got started here. And I made some cave illuminators. I got one on me and then I got one out in the field. And I just sort of started working the system. So definitely my first, and I built a couple little pathways here, like one here, and then I built this little pathway across here. Because I didn't want to get too comfortable, I sort of just kept things really casual. I've got a tiny little smeltery, but it's not too bad. I mean, I basically just, I got a hopper. It only takes one ore at a time, but I got a hopper up there, and with time in a bottle, I can just go doink. And then I can do this and just dump things out, and it goes pretty quick. As you can see, even though it only holds one ore at a time, it pumps stuff out pretty quick. So this is part of, again, my way of just not getting too comfortable. I didn't want to build anything too big and permanent. So I got a good backpack. Then I ran around grabbing Astral Sorcery stuff and grabbing any iron and diamonds and emeralds. The other little outcrops that were really handy were there are tiny little outcrops out in the middle of the wasteland and the mesas and the deserts that were like a couple of rocks and a couple of clays and a couple of emerald ores. So I picked those up. And then while I was out exploring, you can see I've sort of explored a decent amount. So we're here, and I've sort of explored all this area. We started over here in this forest, and then we came up here to a little structure up in here. And then we wandered up here and found this place, and that looked like a good place until I realized it was messy with death worms and dragons and whatnot. I'm going to pause here. I do want to show you the site of the one sort of main adventure that I went on. So over here-ish, you can see the wreckage. I had sort of an epic battle that burned down a good share of forest here with a little house that sits on top of one of the dungeons. There happened to be right here a little electro blobs. I forget what they call them. I think they call them a certain thing, but it was one of these guys where it has these rune stones in a little pillar with a spawner and a chest, and when you get close to it, things spawn at you and you kill them, and then there's a little chest there. Well, it had a blaze spawner, and I was sort of psyched because, hey, blaze spawner. But here it is. So I picked it up with a sack of holding, and I put it in my mob farm, which I'll show you at the end of this episode. This sucker the blazes that came out of it did not drop blaze rods. So that's a thing. And now I've gotten to think of it. Not only did the electroblobs thing not do that, but also I realized that when you summon a wither using a spell from electroblobs wizardry, they will drop wither bones, but they will not drop wither skulls apparently. So this is sort of upsetting because I found another blaze spawner in a dungeon, which I will show you right about now. But I broke it thinking that I already had a banked blaze spawner. But anyway, I'm going to pause here and I'm going to run over to... you know what, let's just fly over there. What the heck? Need a little cooked rat. And let's head out. One of the nice things was I did, now that I'm more familiar with it, I made a concerted effort to get myself a wand real quick. I think I showed a good share of that. Basically, I stole an arcane workbench from a friendly wizard who was momentarily mad at me, but he's gotten over it. And then, might have even been this guy's. Fortunately, I got a couple of books in various places, and This is where that Burning Man thing was. So this thing was made, there was a big like sort of hay bale statue in there, which I tore down and sold to the farmer that is tucked away in that building for emeralds. That's how I got myself a couple of emerald dank nulls real quick. What was I saying? I can't remember. Oh, I was fortunate in that the second novice spell I got was Arc, which is a good offensive spell. And so that helped me a bit when I had no bow. Well, I had a bow, but it was not very good, and I didn't have any arrows for it. This is where I stole my first floating crystal in a sack of holding, which is now back at my base, and which I'm now using to get started in Astral Sorcery. So when I was out cruising around exploring, I did spot one of these houses up here. This is a longer trip than I remembered. Here we go. So right about here, there was one of those little red runestone electro blob things. There was a blaze spawner right there, or a chest right there with a blaze spawner on top of it, and then like a little pyramid about a 5 or 6 high thing. I came here mostly for the house, and then I spotted that. And then I wanted that blaze spawner, not knowing that it was actually somewhat defective. There's some loot's left over from when I was over here. Things don't seem to be despawning in this world, worth a darn. A little weird, because that was hours ago. But anyway, when I was fighting that pitched battle, like 4 or 5 spawned before I even recognized what was happening, because I had sort of circled around and came in the door here, not realizing that there was a blaze spawner over there until I heard them coming in. So they were shooting at me, and the roof caught on fire, and the trees caught on fire, and there were like 4 or 5 blazes before I realized what was going on. And then I sort of like ran out and killed the blaze spawner, and then ran back inside on fire, almost dead. And when I killed it, like another 4 or 5 blazes spawned, but now I was emotionally invested. God, there's actually one of them is still left down here. Things do not despawn in this world. Take that. This was many hours ago in game, so I don't know why this guy's still alive. Oh, hey. Where'd you go? Oh, I lost him. Yeah, and see, it didn't drop anything. Pain in the ass. Now I've got a good bow and good armor, so of course I'm not too worried about him anymore. But since I was here, I thought, well, okay, this house is trashed, but I sort of like this brick. I might as well fill up on brick. And I realized there's a ton of brick here. So this was solid bricks all the way down. I sort of guessed that there would be a brick staircase going through here, and bricks along the walls. But all of this was brick too. So I have like 1,200 brick or something. And then I brought over a cave illuminator once I got that one going, and I thought I'd come down here and finish this off. So I came down here and did the whole process. You know, I went through here, and once again, the cave illuminator made this sort of easy mode, which on one hand is sort of cheesy, but on the other hand, it sort of also rewards you for being into the mods and finding the right tool for the right job. So I sort of went through all of this. Basically, none of the spawners bothered me, and there were no monsters here, so I just looted it and looted it. And then I went on down and down and down, and down and down. And these dungeons are pretty cool. And I like how they get progressively more and more crazed as you go down further and further. Gotta figure out how to get down further. That's one way. And so basically it keeps working further and further down until I got down into rooms like this, which is cool. This is what I was looking for. Yeah, hello. And then if we break into this, we get down into these levels. And this is where I started getting the good loot, the actual, you know, stuff that was pretty darn cool. And so I ran around here and I was able to pick up a bunch of magma and soul sand and blada blada. This room was great with all these pillars because there were 2 chests in each quadrant of the room, and there was some good stuff in those chests. Some like well enchanted items and whatnot. But anyway, one of the rooms down here has a big like huge block of. So there may have, I wonder if there's another room like that down here. Probably not. There's probably one per customer. But there was a big room with a big cube of obsidian in the middle. This room. So up in there, there's a big cube of obsidian with a blaze spawner in the middle, and that blaze spawner is the one I used in my last world, and it's a regular, normal, good blaze spawner in that the blazes that come out of it drop the good stuff. They drop the blaze rods and everything. But I broke it because I didn't think I needed it. This starts out, I think, as, I forget what, but it's got a bunch of lava underneath it. It might just be lava when you come in. So there's a big cube of that. So you got to break through the obsidian to get to the spawner to stop the the damn things from coming after you, the blazes from coming after you. So now I got to go find another one of these rooms or go to the Nether and get a blaze spawner. Probably easier to just go to the Nether. Need to do that anyway. So this is sort of the big epic battle that got me lots of loots. And actually, I think I sort of want a bit more of this stuff. And a bit more of this stuff since I'm down here. So I used up some of this stuff already. Okay, so anyway, and I also got lots and lots of iron bars, which can be handy. So this was my big adventure. Lots of things happened. Oh, hey, this is another one of them. Nice. There is another one of those rooms. Well, now we can do the thing. And I hear my huckleberries over there. So let's see what we got going on here. Don't I have a potion of fire resistance that I kept just for such an occasion? Maybe. I don't remember which one of these does it. Maybe none of those. I don't know. Let's just go get some. What did I need? I need a sack of holding. And let's go get it. Where'd he go? I see you. Okay. It's going to be like that, is it? Yeah, I hear you back there. Don't worry, your time's coming. So this is what that room looks like. So what we're going to do is break this, careful not to harm the blaze spawner that we're after. Yeah, come on, get out the way. Alright, be that way. It's nice that there's already water here. Now everybody just calm down while I grab your spawner. I need a faster pick. I think this might, I don't know, this seems to be taking longer than it should. Don't get in the way, don't get in the way. Ah, thank you. See, these guys drop blaze rods. Dude. Yeah. Alrighty. Yeah, how do you like me now? Where are you at? You know what? Monster spawner. Boom. Oh, I'm glad I came back here. Hey, buddy. I did not think there would be another one of those rooms there. Sorry for the noise. So there you go. We got another one. Which, as a perfect segue, let's go install it in what was, in this playthrough, basically my number one top first priority, which is getting a raging, wonderful, awesome mob farm going. And we're just about there. So, let's see. Grab that. Oh, another thing is part of the mob farm, so this is important if you're starting this and you haven't done it, is another thing that I did really early was as soon as I got some gold, I made myself some lassos, golden lassos, and I did my usual couple of chickens on a hopper, and I burned through a lot of feathers. So this at mob grinding. So all of these things, it's like 3 feathers each for these, and I made, I don't know, about a dozen of those. 3 feathers each for these fan upgrades that make the fan bigger, and I made like, I don't know, 6 of those. 4 each for the power ones, and I made a bunch of those. So I ran through a couple stacks of feathers. So get your chickens early for feathers if you're going to use the mob grinding utilities thing. And so this is the beast. So I may have mentioned it already, but I sort of want to do something a little different. I want to use dimensional doors to set up a distributed base. In other words, basically have little pieces of base here and there with dimensional doors in between them. So this is going to be my mob farm. And here we go. And it's very similar to the last mob farm. Not much different at all. I just sort of made it lots faster because I sort of knew what I wanted to do. So it's not quite as big. This one's 9 by 9. So if we take a look in here, another reason I got it done a lot faster was I told you I wasn't going to save up quest coins. I was going to buy what I needed. So I went ahead and bought a drop of evil as one of my early purchases for 500 coins. So that helped me get this up and moving fast. If we look around here, you can see I got, so here is 16, 22, 28 feathers worth of fan mods. So yeah, maybe 3 stacks of feathers. I forget how many I went through, but I was glad that one of the first things I did was get myself a couple of chickens on a hopper in a loaded chunk. Even then, I had to wait for the last few ones. But if we show area, this one is doing a 5 tall area and a 5 wide area, and it's pushing things towards the mob masher over there in the corner. And if we show the area here, same thing here, just pushing it to that far wall. And then if we come over here, one problem I had last time was that if you put spawners in the middle, like I like to do, to just accentuate your drop of evil, sure, lots of stuff will spawn with your drop of evil, but wither skeletons aren't going to spawn if they don't spawn in the biome you're in. Blazes aren't going to spawn there if they're not in there. I get blitzes here. So I usually put a spawner or two, or a powered spawner, or a mob duplicator out in the middle of all of this, just for a little extra fun. But if you put something out in the middle, they can get stuck on the backside. So we got these fans pushing this way, and if something spawns and it pushes right up against your spawner there in the middle, it can get stuck there. So this is just a 1 by 5 tall fan to push things off of anything that gets stuck in the middle. And then this last fan is when those 2 fans push everything to this wall, then this fan pushes everything to that corner. And then once everything gets to that corner, if there's any flying things or wall crawling things like spiders, you can see there's a fan up in the ceiling which pushes things down. So everything goes to that wall, then everything goes to that corner, and then everything goes down to the mob masher. I sort of overdid it with the lights, but I stole these lights from that dungeon we just visited, so I already had a bunch, and so I figured, hey, why not? This glass that I'm looking through is Extra Utilities dark glass, which is pretty easy to make. It's just take glass, add some more sand to it, smelt it again, or furnace it again, and then dye it black. And I used black floral powder, where I just bone mealed mystical black petals from Britannia, and then ground those up in a pestle and mortar. And then after completing all of this, I finally got a reward of some dark ineffable glass, and so I don't want to go in there with the fans on. So I was just breaking the wall whenever I needed to go in there, but now I can actually just go in there if I remember to turn the fans on and off. So how does this? Let me show you this. So these are advanced redstone interfaces. They're exactly what I used last time. As soon as I got this up and running, I started out just with levers on everything back here. Each thing had a lever. But once I got this up and running, I quickly got a bunch of ender pearls. So then I could make some of these bad boys, which are these stable ender pearls. Go into these. The basic redstone interface goes into these, the advanced redstone interface. And what these do is you can put the position filters in them. This is just a piece of paper and 4 purple dye. Again, I got a purple mystical flower from Britannia, turned it into petals, then just planted it in the grass and bone mealed it into tall purple flowers, broke them down into petals again, and then used the mortar and pestle to turn those into purple floral powder dye. So each of these has a position on them. So if we take a look here, I don't know what this is, but if we run around here, so what this is actually the mob masher. So you can see that purple thing in the corner. This is a bad example. When you have these and they are just blank, you shift right click on them on a block to set them. And you can see this one controls this fan. So when I'm holding it, it outlines the one in these. So each of these papers controls a different fan or light or what have you. Then you put them all in here, and then whatever you turn redstone on and off with a lever here, it affects all of those. So that's a pretty good deal. So what we're going to do is turn off the fan and the mob masher, and then let's just verify that I do that before I go walking in there and slaughter myself on my own mob masher. So that's why I sort of have glass spread around. It's just so I can check all the fans, make sure all the fans have stopped moving and the mob masher has stopped moving. And then I'm going to get my monster spawner here. Gosh, I'm glad there was another blaze spawner down there. I just went down there to show you the adventure I went on. Hadn't actually planned on doing anything. Alright, now I'm going to see if my sack of holding got sucked into my... Yes, it did. Alright, so what we've got here is, in here, we've got a absorption hopper. We've got fluid going up. We've got items going down, north, west, and east. The reason that is because I didn't want to spend a lot of cash on acceleration, extract acceleration upgrades. Go ahead and turn the fans back on. And so this allows to take 4 per tick or 4 per operation, whatever that is, out of this side and this side and this side and this side. So it's a sort of a cheaper way to let me take 16 items per tick out of here and move it into the pipes. And then the pipes go into a drawer controller. And currently there's controllers on 3 sides because it gives me 3 opportunities to do some filters, but I haven't gotten a chance to make good filters yet. So we're still in the final stages of getting this all working. I want to make decent filters before putting bad filters in there, or little ones. And blaze rods, yes. We're going to put those right there. Even in full bright light, these blaze spawners will slowly spawn stuff. Next thing I want to do is go find an Enderman spawner and put it right where that block of cobblestone is, just like my last setup. So that's on my to-do list. Alright, so what we got going on here is basically everything gets into the pipes. And then at high priority, everything here is priority 10, it goes into a drawer if there is a spot for it to go into. You'll notice that all of these have the little keyhole from being locked. And so it's not going to put stuff in empty spaces. It's only going to put stuff places if there's a place to put it. And then anything that's left over at a lower priority, priority minus 10, is going to go in here. And we currently don't have this all filtered and whatnot. That's the thing that I need to work on next, is getting trash cans in place and throwing away stuff that I don't want. So far I have been, when I'm running this, I just stand here and sort of micromanage some of the stuff that I want to throw away. Which is not great, but it's not horrible either. So if I get rid of some of this stuff... for now, I'm just going to throw it up here. What's that? I don't need that. Alright, so I sort of knew what I was going to get, and so I sort of right-sized this. I sort of went a little further because since I don't have a trash can yet, I'm sort of using these with void upgrades as sort of trash cans. It's sort of a way to trash things without needing filters in a trash can. So it's going to void. So someday these might get up to 512, and anything above that is going to be destroyed. Or I could have also put connectors in here, trim I think they're called, and then wrapped around and had more drawers going along this wall was my backup plan if for some reason I got a lot more stuff than I expected in a biomes o' plenty situation. But this is pretty much as I expected, so everything's going fine. Things are sort of grouped by how much of them I'm getting and how much I want to get of them. So for instance here, 512 is enough cobwebs and strings and sulfur and gunpowder for me. Same thing with, this stuff. And then things that come at a lower rate are clumped together. But let's go ahead and turn this bad boy on and see what's doing. So we're going to turn the lights off. And there comes the Pied Piper. So right now things are still horribly manual. I've got the experience orbs being collected by this thing and turned into fluid here. And that's being pumped up into this gargantuan thing up there. We got 629 buckets of liquid EXP. And you can see basically this is the stuff I'm getting. And I have just been sort of letting this... Ooh, that's nice. That reminds me, I gotta see if that works. Oh, I already have it on here. I guess it does work. One nice thing about sitting here and managing it is that you get tons and tons of spell books, only a very few of which I actually want. And so I can't keep them all, but I don't necessarily want to throw them all out either. So just standing here and working through it and picking which ones I want to keep and which ones I want to toss has actually been sort of not too bad. And also I sort of wanted to pick out any advanced spells that I got and grab them and start working on identifying them in my spell. So far all I've got is a generic vanilla master wand. But I also got an apprentice wand and a few bits of clothes. So I was able to close some quests for having the generic wizard's stuff for the apprentice wand and the generic wizard clothes. Now here's an earth mage boots. There are more quests to get more suits, so I'm just collecting the various pieces here. This is a problem. So the next thing I'm going to do is actually put up a trash can and sort things. Like I'm going to throw everything from vampirism away. We're just going to put a filter on there that anything from vampirism goes straight into the trash can. So that'll get rid of that kind of problem. We're also going to do what I did last time in that we're going to have anything from Electroblob's wizardry is going to get shunted into a series of 2 big crates. That way I can sort of collect things while still letting it run unattended for a good long time. But you can see I've got it mostly managed. This here is most of the stuff. And most of this, a good share of these already have void upgrades in them. So we're sort of handling our situation. Here's another one. I'm not sure what instrumental mobs are all about, but we're going to just make a filter, and anything from the mod instrumental mods like tubas and French horns and maracas and drums is going to go straight in the dumpster. Because right now these things don't stack. If I send maracas over here, only one will go into each spot, which is just a pain in the butt because you get lots of them. Water walking. I don't think I need that. So while I've been sort of organizing this, I've gotten lots of goodies, so that's been nice. And I've just been sort of grabbing the stuff I want. I can't remember. I think I've kept one of these, but just in case. Can't remember now if I did or not. More instrumental mobs. That's going to go in there. Dungeon Tactics. Probably going to send everything from Dungeon Tactics in there. I've gotten some stuff that I like from Dungeon Tactics. Maybe not. Maybe we'll keep things going. I can put things here to blacklist, and then I can put things to whitelist with a high priority to go to the trash by mod. So we're going to just work out a combination like we did last time to get things figured out. It's like I can't have all of these broken iron knives and etc. going through here, and scrolls and whatnot, but I do want to keep some of the other stuff. Let's go ahead and put that there. So I've got it pretty tame enough that I can sort of keep an eye on it and keep things regulated. But also while I was doing this, I have gotten tons of this stuff. So let's talk about this. This little book that you start the game with, which is Level Up Reloaded, is sort of a beast. I found that out last time, and I like it. So if we open this up, this is the one where you pick a class, and depending on which class you pick, you get some starting points. You get, I don't know, maybe like 20 levels worth of points, 10 of them into one of the specializations here, and then, you know, some various other places depending on what you pick. And there are 3 areas. There's crafting and combat and mining. So while I'm sitting here sorting this stuff, I'm also doing this. So solidified experience, actually additions. If you shift right click, you consume it a stack at a time. So that's a handy thing to notice. And then if we open this up, you add levels, and then you spend them. And you can see I've already got combat specialization. I started with this, gain more experience from mobs, whatever, don't care. But I started with a few points of this, random crits. Randomly doubles damage output for direct attacks, plus 5% chance per level. So I'm now up to 5 of these, so I've got a 25% chance per level that some sword swing is just going to double in damage. Not bad. And then here, 10 levels, at plus 10% direct damage per level, increases direct damage output. I've got 10 levels of it. So that's 100%. Basically, I'm doing, you know, double damage for melee damage. Again, not bad. Archery, draw bowstring back faster. This is a quick draw kind of situation. I got 10 levels of that. Love it. Gotta have it. Arrow speed, arrows travel faster, plus 10% speed per level. Got 5 levels, so we got 50% faster arrow travel. Love it. Gotta have it. This I haven't gotten a chance to play with too much, but sneaking decreases mob detection range, minus 5% sight range per level. We got 10 of these. So when I'm sneaking, supposedly, I got like a minus 50% sight range for getting close to stuff. The reason I didn't use this a lot in the last mod pack is that by the time I got to this and was playing around with it, I had a either a dark bow from Ender.io or an Ender bow, and when you try to use stealth with those, you open up the menu to play with their Ender, their enhancements that they have. So that can be a real pain in the butt. Don't need. So again, we're gearing up to experience boost 1. Oh hey, another new advanced spell here. So yeah, that's one of the things I was doing while I was sorting this, because this stuff drops quick. But, as you can see, it also gives you tons of levels quick. And so I've got all of this stuff done. Oh, I didn't finish this. So stealth damage, again, plus 15% per level, plus 30% melee damage per level. So if I sneak up behind something, I think I get like another 150% damage for a sneak attack. So that's pretty cool. again, never got to really use that in my last playthrough, but I might go with something other than a dark bow and an ender bow in this one. Shield prevention. I now have a 50% chance to block unblockable damage. I just don't like shields though. I'm just not used to it. Iron skin. This is great though. I've got 10 levels, 50% damage reduction total. 5% per level. There's 10 levels. Boom. That's like not even half to doing with your armor. So that's good stuff. So I've got all of that done just from doing this. And now that I'm sort of getting around to it, I will probably have all the other goodies from Leveled Up Reloaded. Because I can. The other one is mining. That's another good one. So mining specialization, you gain experience while mining ores. Good, good. Stone cutting. Increases stone harvesting speed, plus 30% speed per level. 10 levels. This is actually sort of dangerous. Basically anything that is stone, which is like stone, not cobblestone, but just normal stone, marble, andesite, granite, limestone, you end up cutting it so fast when you get a decent speed pick that it basically evaporates. It's like one click kills 2 or 3 things. So you got to be a little careful with this, and you got to make sure that you don't build your house out of something that counts as basic stone. But that's good to have. And prospecting, I love this. I'm up to, I haven't even done that much mining yet, but I'm glad I got this earlier than I did in the last playthrough. So this is a 25% chance to double your ore harvests. So in addition to getting, I don't think I have any on me. No, I don't. But like if you get on your ore, like a tin ore, if I get one of these to drop, I got a 10% or a 25% chance to also get at level to get one of these bad boys, one of these level up reloaded ore chunks. And these act just like the ores. And so that's already, the fact that I got that so early in this game is already paying dividends. So let's see. Sprint speed, I'm up to plus 50% sprint speed, which is nice. I think that also works when you're sprinting while flying. And I'm currently working, hey, let's do this. Athletics, decreases fall damage, minus 10% fall damage per level. And so we're just going to increase, and now that's maxed. Flint harvesting plus 10%, so now it's a 100% chance flint from gravel, and this mod pack has the thing where you can turn flint into gravel, so that's really good for hunting that. Treasure hunting, when you dig in dirt, there's a chance of getting bonus loot. I haven't really played with that much because I don't do a lot of digging in dirt. I did get this in the last game. Faster harvest speed, and then also same kind of thing. When you break down an oak tree, you have a chance of getting like planks and sticks in addition to the logs. So that can be sort of handy, but then again, getting lots of wood isn't that difficult. I'm also going to work on this fishing one just because I like to do some fishing occasionally when I'm feeling bored. So we're working on that. And there's also ones for harvesting and for doing some other stuff. But I'm now in a position to basically get all of this stuff. So we're going to go ahead and get the fishing. And I'll finish this up later. But you can see how fast all of that goes. Let's take a last look in here. Uh-oh. Things are getting out of hand. I can't ignore this for too long yet. So I'll clean this up. Actually, let's go ahead and turn the lights on. And I'll clean this up. Most of this is going to be trash, except I am going to keep an eye out for any of the books that I want to play around with. Which isn't really much. Alright, so I'm going to clean this up and then I'll show you what we're going to do next. Let's take a look at our runtime and then talk about what we're up to next. I'll be right back. Okay, we are recovered, and I need to start moving. Ooh, this, I don't have one of these yet. Not that I really need them, but I've been trying to keep one of each trophy anyway, just in case I decide I want to do something with them for decoration. I got to start moving all of these books over here. I got a space for them. It's good to keep spares because you can trade them into wizard villagers to open up their trades and to get more of the magic crystals. Those guys to power your wand. So I'm keeping some of them just to... I need to start rounding up the wizard villagers and feeding them all these spare books that I now have so that I can see what else they got, what goodies they might have for me. Once I open up, each wizard has 12 trades. You start out only being able to see 3, but every time you give them a bunch of these books for crystals, like other villagers, they will open up another one, up to a total of 12. Alright, so I already mentioned, you could see I have some stuff to do here. What I need to do is I want to make some of these mod item filters. These allow you to filter everything out by a mod. So I want all the instrumental mobs, all of the mob instruments to go away. I want all the vampirism stuff to go away. I want all the mechanism tools things. I do want to keep some of the refined obsidian and refined glowstone stuff to repair and melt down to get free ingots of that stuff. But I want to separate it out into its own container. So basically underneath here I'm going to have containers for electroblobs and then a trash can for vampirism and some other stuff. But unfortunately these things take yetta wrenches, which take electrical steel ingots. The other reason I've got so many things coming around here is that, in other words, I'm pulling 4 items out of each of these sides to get 16 items out of my vacuum hopper, absorption hopper per tick or turn, or I don't know if it's exactly a tick. I think it's an operation, which might be every like couple of ticks. But anyway, that gets me 16 out because I don't want to have a bunch of these extract speed upgrades. Each of these raises it by 4, but each of these also costs 4 electrical steels. And if we take a look at electrical steels, the recipe there, you cannot alloy it in a smelter. So basically you're looking at either an induction smelter, which you have to take steel and silicon, or you want to make yourself something like, the best way to make it is just to, since it's an Ender IO equipment material, is to just use the Ender IO alloy smelter. And then you put in iron and pulverized coal and silicon, and get that out. But now we're talking about actually making one of these, which I have. It's not too hard to make. Some iron, some stone furnaces, iron bucket. I had plenty of iron bars. I made some grains of infinity down at the bedrock in that dungeon that I was in. So this was all easy to make. But now we're getting into power. And also, silicon, you can make it a few different ways, but the best and easiest way to make it is to use nuclear craft and just turn sand straight into silicon, which now we're talking about making a manufactory, which again is not much. It's just copper and iron. We got a piston, we got some flint and some lead. Piece of cake, right? Well, now I got to power that, And then I start thinking about all the other things I want to do and all the other equipment I want to build and all the power I want to have. And we've reached the point now that we've got a functioning mob farm. And I've got 666 ender pearls. That's funny. Let's pull that out of there just to get rid of that number. Now that I have ender pearls and I'm sort of set and able to move on to the next phase of the game, I want to build my for reals home, and then set up dimensional doors between here and that home. And I'm going to need to set up a bigger smelter so that I can really start processing metal, and I'm going to want to start setting up machines and setting up power and yada yada yada. So that's where we're at. Basically, we've reached the point where having no power and having no machines is starting to limit us. And so that's what the next plan is. And that will allow us to get rid of some of these tubes. We'll go now to just one tube coming out of here, but it'll have a bunch of extract upgrades speeds up in here, so it's pulling out like 64 per operation. We're only pulling out 16 now, so we might just take it up to 20 just to save electrical steel. And then we'll be able to make those filters. So I need at least a half a stack of electrical steel. And for that I need power. So let's talk about that. Let's take one last look in here, make sure everything looks good. That's going to just keep going at a slow level, but that's okay. They drop, I think, sulfur, niter, and blaze rods. This is going to be good for 1,000 stacks, and we're only up to 18 stacks. And niter is down there, so I'll have to keep an eye on that. And then sulfur is already at 512 and has a void upgrade, so it's just burning any extra sulfur we get. So it's cool to walk away from this for now. I don't actually need a ton of blaze rods. I might actually use them for fuel. I might burn them to make us some initial power. I haven't decided what I want to do for like our initial base power, but burning blaze rods, or actually burning blaze meshes. So a blaze rod burns for 2,400 ticks. You can turn 9 of those into a blaze mesh, but it actually is 10 times the amount of burning. So basically, if I put this in like a steam dynamo, it'll burn for 24,000 ticks. So I might do that. Turn a bunch of these into blaze meshes and load them on up. And that might be how we generate some initial power from a steam dynamo. Okay, so let's go ahead and it is night outside, wouldn't you know it? So let's sleep real quick. Last time I used the sleeping mat, it's sort of the red one, and it has a durability on it. This one's sort of annoying in that this is the one that the quest journal wants you to make, but it actually does a little bit of chest plate durability damage every time you use it. So that got annoying on my early weak armor. Alright, let's pop on up here. You may have noticed that I've got my Ring of the Squid already. I did go ahead and make a resonator to get stone brunt, and I made 9 of these to actually run the resonator, and that allowed me to make... Oh, I buried it. That allowed me to make... You might be able to hear it, but... Assassin! Die. Underneath here is actually 10 fire mills. So basically, I was able to get netherrack from that. Oh, that's up above me. It's like, oh no, a blaze! But that's up in my farm. This floor is double thick. I do not believe blazes can spawn underneath here, but I'm not positive of that. pretty sure they can't, but not positive. So underneath here is basically 10 of the fire mills, which are the ones that you set on top of burning netherrack. So I've just got those down here. Don't really need, all I really need is for that, both that GP generation and these things. All I need them in is some chunk that is loaded, which my farm is. So I just put them in here. Once we have a dimension door to this, the dimension door will lead into here, and I will decorate it some, but I'll never go outside of here. So we won't actually see this stuff anymore once I have dimensional doors up and going. And I do, now that I have lots of ender pearls, I do have the ability to now create rifts and close rifts and make a bunch of dimension doors. So as soon as I set up our new base somewhere, possibly floating in the air up above here, or possibly floating in the air up above those guys. Fire, death, destruction. We will just teleport in between them using dimensional doors. For right now, I'm just going back and forth using this. Hey, my tree grew. So I did get an ectoplasm, and I clicked it on a sapling and made a specter tree. So the other thing I want to do is, I don't want to, in my new base, I don't want to spread cave illuminator, little yellow lights all over the place. I want to go straight to using specter illuminators. So I need to make myself a farm for farming the ectoplasm, and you might only get like 0 to 2 per tree, and the trees grow really slow, so that might take me a bit. So we might have to light up the new base with torches to begin with, and then when we make enough of these, we can then take the torches out. Alright, so let's go in here. So all of this now is going to move. Shouldn't be too bad. I have sacks of holding to pick things up. I've got, or can make a few of the crate carriers, or whatever those crate things are called, that you stick them in here, and then you can break the crate and everything stays in them. I think I have one of those that I got as a reward. Let's see. These guys. Storage crate keepers. Yeah, those are not too expensive. And I can just make 1 or 2 and then transfer them over as we go. Or you can buy them for 100. Don't want to waste that. They're not that expensive to make. And so we're just going to move all of this and create a real base somewhere. Somewhere that is no radiation and no dragon under it, and etc. And possibly I'm going to go kill that dragon that's over there now. He has stopped roaring, probably because I lit up his thing, so now he goes to sleep and forgets about me, and there aren't monsters spawning around him, upsetting him anymore. But all of this will move. I get to build a real smelter in my new place, so I'm looking forward to that. I do have a bunch of casts already. Here's those leveled up chunks that I'm getting, the extra ore there. So in a way, I've sort of, it's almost as good as ore tripling once you max up that leveled up thing. So I would definitely, because each of these counts as 2, but you only get them 25% of the time. Anyway, it's a good deal. As soon as you got yourself a mob farm, jack up those leveled up, reloaded perks. They are handy. So yeah. As for where the base is going to be, I really like this zone, just the color of it, the autumn feel of it, with the colors of the trees all autumny. So I might make a home, just sort of a pretty little house with bed and my kitchen for all my cooking for blockhead stuff, just sort of a home kind of thing. And probably someplace I won't really spend a ton of time, but it'll be just a nice place with a nice view, make it pretty, and then I'll probably have dimensional doors that then lead to my mob farm here. And then I'm not exactly sure, I'll probably put my industrial complex in like a big floating palace or something around here, but I'm thinking about making it look all dimensional and weird, like when you go into dimensional doors and there's where's that stuff? Oh, I think it's in one of my things here. Anyway, it's that fabric of reality that's like pitch black, so you can't even tell it's there sometimes. And then decorate it, and then maybe decorate it with some of this runestone stuff, because it looks pretty cool. Like that stuff and this stuff. I wish I could make more of this stuff, but so far I don't think there's a recipe for it. I can paint things, so I might just make a painting machine and paint a bunch of stuff to look like it. That could be cool. I might do that. Anyway. So that's what's coming up. I got to pick a place, possibly in a pretty forest, and make a nice house there. I got to pick myself a place for strip mining. I'm currently doing some strip mining. I was looking around for one of those big dungeons that has Enderman spawners in it, which was one of the first things we did before. I think maybe this is the one that I'm doing. I thought it might be under here, so I dug down under that. And I've got some mining down there. Fortunately, it's got no dragon under it. It's got no dungeons under it. It's just lava and ore. So it's actually handy. There is a mine shaft mine somewhere over in this direction, but I'm doing like some digging around under this just to get some diamonds and some platinum and stuff. But yeah, I want to look around and try and find one of those. They're like big. I think like each room is maybe 16 by 16 and a lot of big rooms. I want to find one of those places. It had tons of spawners in it and tons of chests. So I got to find out what those are. I might have to try and load up my old world and see what that structure looked like that was above it. And see if I can find another structure like that to go under. Because I'd really like to get myself an Enderman. Sure, you can make a powered Enderman one, but then you got to power it. You can make a mob duplicator and put a imprisoned Enderman in it, but then you got to power it and you got to feed it liquid experience. So just having an Enderman spawner was actually really handy. So I sort of want to do that again. Since they spawn here, I just got to find one of those dungeons. I've also only found 2 villages so far. I haven't looked around a lot, but there's the one here, which has the farmer that I traded in, and then this one up here is another small village. So I want to look around and find some more villages. See if I can find any of the hedge witches that sell mystical agriculture seeds. I didn't get into mystical agriculture yet in the other playthrough that I've sort of abandoned, but I do now realize that if I want to get into it, one easy way to like go after it is to just make a wither farm, because the wither drops supremium essence, and once you got all that red supremium essence, bashing through some mystical agriculture is pretty easy. And I would like to try the supremium bow. And I think I'm ready to start dragon killing. I didn't really talk about it, but I made the same starting armor that I had before. So we've got demonic cores. That is a super easy thing to get going fast for some good constructs armory ones. Again, once I went to that first thing, I got netherrack, or nether bricks, I should say. And so you just make this and you throw gold into it, and it turns into demon metal. And then you melt the demon metal and cast it into your your chest plate core, helmet core, leggings core, and boots core. Took about, I don't know what that was, maybe 19 demonic metal or something, so 19 gold. Not bad at all. And then, oh no, look at that. Oh, did he just disappear? There was a big old, there's a big old troll out there. I think he despawned. I was going to go get him. I don't know if I have a bounty on him, but I think he despawned. Oh well. So we did that, and the village I went to, one of the villages I went to had the house with the immersive engineering crates outside, and so these crates, there's like 2 outside and then 1 inside, had some steel tools, so I melted the steel tools down to get some steel ingots from thermal foundation. So the trim of this armor is steel, which gives, I think that gives the indomitable, and then the shielding is dark, what is it called, dark steel, and the dark steel I made, dark steel, the dark steel I made, it gives shielding, and I made it in that 1x1 smelter in there. I basically threw in some ore, and then I threw in some obsidian, then I threw in some coal, and boom, there you go. The proportions are a little tricky, but I just started with throwing in a couple of ore, so that would have been like 4 ingots worth of molten iron, and then I just put in 8 pieces of obsidian, and then I just threw in liquid coal until it was all dark steel, and I did that a couple times, and I used that for the plates, and it gives pretty good stuff. I mean, this doesn't have the highest durability, but it's definitely much better durability than most things. And you can see that just like last time, I've got 1.5 armor bars, so like the entire silver one plus 5 orange ones down here. And then I bought 8 sponges for 800 quest coins, and made polishing kits for sponges, which adds to the toughness. So you can see the little diamond chest there. This has 4.25 toughness, 4.25 toughness, 4.25 toughness, 4.25 toughness. That is a combination of the diamonds and that I added to them, and the polished sponge there in yellow. And so that gets me to 9.5 little shields down here of armor toughness. And this is pretty good stuff now. Now what I do not have is I have not put in the resistant stuff. So I have not added resistance modifier because there are 8 levels of resistance per armor piece. So that's 8 times 4 is, it's 32 obsidian and 32 blocks of iron per armor piece. So times 4. So basically I need like a couple of stacks of blocks of iron. I just haven't done enough mining yet to get that. I'm doing okay. That's going to be 400. So, no, that's maybe a quarter of the way there. But the good news is just before I started filming this, I made this unbreakable. So in addition to spending my quest coins as I got them, I got my first creative modifier, and I used it on my slime pickaxe to get it its 5th modifier, and I now have this all the way up to unbreakable. So now I can sort of go nuts. I can also take it up to take it from a slimy head to like a cobalt head or something else that is much faster, because right now it's pretty slow. Mining speed 3.18. So I can raise that up to something that's more like a 9, and then just start vein mining like gangbusters, and then hopefully get it up to 40,000 experience as I vein mine the world, so that I can add looting to it. Anyway, I'm babbling, and that's about all. Well, we're actually probably past time, I'm sure. So next time we're going to probably kill some dragons because I'm sick of them being in my way. We're probably going to set up a new house somewhere. Probably going to set up a dimensional door next network. I might do a lot of that in between this episode and the next, but I'll show you what I do and where I do it. Probably get some spectral illuminator lighting once I hopefully get some more saplings and some more ectoplasm and get that tree farm up and going. I got to get my Astral Sorcery now up to date. I didn't want to sort of build an Astral Sorcery area because I'm leaving here. So I just have the initial table that I needed to make the cave illuminators and this stolen floating crystal. But now that I have a bunch of ender pearls, thanks to my mob farm, we can get busy. Oh, and the other thing that I need for that, which I sort of was waiting for as well, is I looked around. If you run around at night above ground with your resonating wand in your offhand, you can see little like wisps of light coming up. And it's pretty sparse on rock crystals, but these are some places I marked that have rock crystal ore, so we need to dig down there and get some rock crystal ore. And I was sort of waiting to do that because we have right there, one of them is underneath the dragon lair. And these two are close enough to the dragon lair that he might break through and come after me. I don't know how far he's gotten here. You can tell he's broken through here some already. So I don't know what kind of a mess he or she has done down here. But we're probably going to have to go down there and clean that out. Grab these 3 rock crystal ores. That's going to be one of my chores for getting moving on some Astral Sorcery. Alright, and now I've been babbling for far too long. So, the dragon's right under there somewhere. So I'm going to go now. And again, I'm sort of rushing through this early game part just to sort of catch us back up to where we were in the previous world. Because I know you guys probably don't want to see me do the same damn things over and over again. So I'm probably going to be moving pretty fast over the next week. Just busting through things, getting some power going, getting a base up and running, and I'll show you what I did, but we just want to put a pedal to the metal to get back to a place where we sort of were. Anyway, I will talk to you later. Bye.